Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Today we are gonna be talking about Trump policy, his policy, and those that really affect Africa, and how the policy for the next 4 years is gonna be effective, and how Africa is gonna be affected in those policies that President Trump mentioned, especially his executive orders. So today we're going to talk about that, and we're going to really dive deep into those policies that will affect not only Africa, not only Cameroon or Ambazonia. It's going to affect a lot of other countries in Africa. So we're going to be talking those aspects that we know are very vital for all Africa as a whole. Okay, so we have seen his inauguration. We saw some African head of states invited, some not, and we saw some delegation from Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia that were also invited. We saw a lot of dignitaries, that former presidents of the United States, former presidents of other countries that were invited to this inauguration. But that is also a lesson too for some of us who think that politics is a war, right? You saw Kamala Harris seated next to, you saw different presidents sitting next to each other. We saw people who were very, very in like with the American politics. They were sitting next to each other. Kamala Harris sat next to Joe Biden. Joe Biden sat next to Trump, and that is how the American politics go, right? It was not like they are still talking about the election anymore. Now there's unity, there's everybody's together, they don't care about what happened during the election anymore, right? That's a good thing with American politics, okay? But when we see all that, we have to learn, Africans have to learn that politics is not war. Politics is not something that we have to fight each other, we have to kill each other. Okay, it's something that once election is over, election is over. Okay, there is no cause for fighting. There's no call for all the riots, the protests, and so on and so forth. We have to learn to concede defeat. We have to learn to after elections to say, hey, we are all one person, we are all one people. Okay, in most countries we have seen that, and we I'm just bringing this point so that we should know that America has set a very good example when it comes to presidential transition. The people that leave power support those in power. Okay, they don't try to crumple or bring them down or topple the government, or be try to behave as if you're happy to see that person, the newly elected president, not succeed. Right? That is one issue with some of our people. Okay, we see that happen a lot when the government in power or the former presidents don't support the newly elected, their presidency. Okay, and that is what has really stalled most of the African regimes, where they see, they want to make sure that the current regime fail so that they win the next election, whereas it shouldn't be like that, right? It shouldn't be like that, because that tendency of you seeing someone fail and you are happy, it's not good, because it's the same country. Be happy to see your fellow brother fail, just because it's not from your political party, or it's not from your group, or it's not from your own. You want him to fail, then you say, oh, okay, he failed. No, in America, we've learned that all the presidents, the various party leaders will come together, they'll do everything they can to support the current regime to succeed. Okay, and that is what we are really contented to see in when it comes to the regime, right? The current regime, we have seen that in most of the time where they will do everything to help the regime in power to succeed. Yeah, and that is good, because when that happens, we are very glad to learn a lot. Take a look at this and see, listen to some of the points that President Trump said during his inauguration.
Going to bring law and order back to our cities. This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. This week, I will reinstate any service members who were unjustly expelled from our military for objecting to the COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world. Amen.
So that was some excerpt from the inauguration, and you heard so some of the policies that Trump signed during his first day in office were protecting the American people against invasion. He signed other pausing of Congress. Remember, he even the banning of TikTok. Okay, he paused the ban for 75 days. Okay, he even death penalty for police killers. He signed another one that ending of birthright of citizenship. That one was very controversial too. A lot of judges, about 22 judges across America, sue Trump for that one. Birthright, ending of birthright for non-citizens or illegal immigrants. Okay, pulling the U.S. out of WHO was very, very controversial too. Okay, pardoning 1,500 people convicted, criminally charged in attack on the U.S. Congress. Reforming the federal hiring process and restoring merit to government service, establishing the President's Department of Government Efficiency. Remember, Elon Musk is the one that is going to head this department. Recognizing only two immutable sexes, male and female. Formal withdrawal of U.S. from Paris Climate Agreement. These are some of the 10 orders that he signed, but I want to focus on Africa. Okay, the one that really affected Africa. Okay, the one that affected Africa is one of the executive orders that gave travel ban and immigration restriction. Okay, this was also one of his very controversial policy that affected Africa. One of most controversial executive orders is the implementation of travel ban that affected several predominantly Muslim countries, including some of the Africa's Libya, Sudan, Somalia. Okay, so this ban is has been met with condemnation, right? Because you cannot target Muslim countries, especially become a lot of anti-immigrant sentiment, and which has really affected families, affected tourists, affected those seeking refuge from conflict and persecution. Another one is the dismantling of global health initiative. Like, you know, Trump is signed an executive order to withdraw from WHO. How is that affecting Africa? Is that it has led to budget cuts in global health initiative, especially when it comes to programs addressing HIV/AIDS, programs that can address malaria, programs addressing maternal health. You know, these because America support a lot when it comes to this initiative, especially when it comes to the budget, right? So withdrawing has negatively impacted the public health system in many African countries. Okay, because most African countries still rely on WHO, okay, for foreign aid. The global health, or WHO, face a lot of budget issues, and America is a country that has a lot of support. Okay, so withdrawing will disproportionately affect Africa, because majority of African countries still rely on WHO for their medical supplies, for many other African health issues like malaria, HIV/AIDS, and maternal health. Okay. Another aspect is the economic and trade policies. Okay. Trump emphasized on America First policy that we all know Africa is not. So the only programs that U.S. America has is the AGOA, which is the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, okay, that provide trade preferences to African countries. Okay, Trump's inclination was towards bilateral rather multilateral agreements. Okay, he preferred one-on-one agreements. Okay, there are some countries that he would not want to deal with because of sanctions. Okay, like Cameroon. Remember, Cameroon was sanctioned from AGOA due to their the human rights abuses and the using the military support against the people of Southern Cameroon, Amazonia, in the ongoing crisis there in Southern Cameroon. So AGOA, Trump prefer bilateral negotiations rather than multilateral agreements. So this executive order also has a lot of concerns about African nation, how U.S. want to deal with them, in terms of bilateral and or multilateral agreements. Another aspect of the Trump executive actions is the foreign aid and development programs. Trump executive action included effort to reduce foreign aid, which could severely impact African nations relying on U.S. assistance for development, humanitarian relief, and governance reforms. The potential cut to foreign aid could undermine progress in areas such as education, infrastructure, and democracy, as many African countries depend on American support to foster stability and growth in their various countries. Trump's executive order really stresses on this, that they will have to cut a lot of foreign aid to African countries and other countries too. So it's something that is of concern. Trump's policy is focused on security and counter-terrorism in Africa when it comes to those American policy. So in the name of security, Trump's administration maintain and sometimes they have emphasized on the expanded military partnership with certain African countries and enhancing U.S. military support and counter-terrorism initiative in regions plagued by instability and extremism, such as the Sahel and the Horn of Africa. The approach is welcomed by some governments as a means of bolstering security, but raised concerns over human rights violations associated with militarized responses to government issues. Overall, Trump executive orders and policy had will make a lot of complication or implication on Africa. While some actions aim to strengthen security and partnership, the impact on immigration, health initiative, and economic opportunities reflected a more isolationist approach than risk-straining U.S.-African relationship. We hope that these executive orders will help the African countries, some irrespective of the countries that he bilaterally choose. Some countries are still working towards global issues, but we know that the mixed signal sent by these policies highlighted the need for African leaders to navigate a changing geopolitical landscape while advocating for partnerships that prioritize sustainable development, mutual respect, and collaborative growth. The long-term effect of these orders will continue to shape U.S.-Africa relationship as the continent seeks to redefine its connection with global partners. The fact that we saw those African policies, U.S.-Africa policies, we are hoping that the Trump administration will work towards helping African countries, because we are seeing that his policy in Africa often seem to reduce Africa to a secondary concern in the grand scheme of great power competition, between the US, China, and Russia. Okay. We hope that his administration will not largely be driven by a transactional mindset with focus on bilateral relationship that brought immediate benefits such as trade deal rather than long-term partnership. Okay, we are hoping that some countries will have some opportunities through this relationship, and most of that will be more beneficial to these African countries. Okay, the fact that Trump administration policy regarding Africa was and is characterized by limited engagement and a focus on specific areas. We are hoping that those areas that we just mentioned is going to foster those projects for the governments in Africa. Okay. We are gonna, let me play this and you will see some.
President Trump wasting no time, meanwhile, on track to sign scores of executive actions on this day one of his administration, among them declaring a national emergency at the southern border, declaring an energy emergency, and reversing many of former President Biden's initiatives. Our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott, tonight at the Capital One Arena.
Tonight, just hours after he was sworn in, President Trump getting right down to business, signing a record number of executive orders. At Capital One Arena, in front of a crowd of supporters, Trump putting into motion his day one actions.
I'm about to sign some very important executive orders of our new administration.
Signing orders on the economy, gender, and immigration, declaring that national emergency at the southern border, reinstating the Remain in Mexico policy, and designating cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
As Commander-in-Chief, I have no higher responsibility than to defend our country from threats and invasions, and that is exactly what I am going to do. We will do it at a level that nobody's ever seen before.
The president vowing to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America.
We are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Trump also declaring a national emergency on energy.
We will drill, baby, drill. America will be a manufacturing nation once again, and we have something that no other manufacturing nation will ever have, the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we are going to use it. We're going to use it.
Tonight, in front of thousands of supporters here at the Capital One Arena, President Donald Trump signed several executive actions, including withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord. The president making clear that many more are on the way, but even his allies on Capitol Hill acknowledge that he will need the help of Congress to get much of his agenda across the finish line, David.
All right. Rachel Scott live here in Washington as well. Rachel.
Yeah. So you've seen some of those executive orders, and those that affect Africa are really most of immigration. Okay, on immigration, even that of LGBT, foreign aid courts. Those policies that we just saw are those ones that are really, pulling out of the WHO is also significant. Then the ending of birthright citizenship. Most Africans are here, those that are under refugee, some are, currently with this policy of ending the birthright citizenship. It will be a huge one for those families who are here, and especially families who are here illegally. This ending of birthright want to stop any. If you are born here and you are illegal, your child cannot be American citizen. This is what happens in most other countries, right? So Trump is trying to bring what is happening in some countries in Europe, where if you are not legally, if you are not like a green card holder or US citizen, if you have a child here, it will not more be automatic American citizen. But we have seen a lot of judges in states, about 22 states that have sued Trump because of this. So it will be difficult for him to just sign it through executive order, and it passes through 22 states out of 50 states. Attorney generals of those states. That's how it happens in America. Those judges can halt those policies, irrespective of whether coming from the president. That's how powerful states are. So if 22 attorney generals have blocked that Trump policy, it means that it will be a long haul battle. It will go to Congress, it will go to the Supreme Court before it can be promulgated into law. So it's still not sure that one is going to go through. Yes, that's how the U.S. policy is. And the Constitution will ask that they should have to go through that route now, which is very difficult to pass. It will be very difficult for that one to pass. I think that one has been blocked by those judges and attorney generals of the state. So that is it. Okay, so
President Donald Trump sworn into office and signs the most executive orders ever by a president on day one. 10 of them focus on immigration.
Today, I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense.
Let's look at the changes Trump is making. I'm Marianne Ahern. This is The Brief. President Trump is wasting no time. Those who know him well say in his first term, he also tried to make big changes, but was told, slow down. Congress moves more slowly. This time, he is not wasting any time. Immigration, one of his key campaign promises, and that's where he's focused on day one. Trump is declaring a national emergency at the border and is sending U.S. troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. He also plans to end catch and release and does promise to continue building the wall. Trump plans to label drug cartels terrorist organizations. He also wants to end birthright citizenship. Now that's a constitutional protection, so he will need a constitutional amendment to change it. What he's calling for is this change going forward, not for those who have already received that protection. What is birthright citizenship? It means if you are born in this country, you are a citizen of this country. Even, let's say, your parents may be from another country, but if you are born here in the U.S., you are a U.S. citizen. As soon as he took office, he ended what many asylum seekers had been using. It's a mobile app called CBP One. It helped to restore order as those sought appointments at the border to try to get into the U.S. As soon as Trump took office, that CBP One app, it no longer existed. It was shut down. Next up, the economy. As Trump puts it, let's make America more affordable again. And in that respect, he plans to unleash energy policies.
I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill.
Trump also plans to end leasing wind farms. He wants to expand domestic energy production. He also wants to lower EPA emissions on cars. Trump plans to also withdraw from the Paris Climate Accords. That Paris Agreement, adopted back in 2015, it is legally binding, and it's meant to fight climate change. Not everyone agreed with it, certainly Donald Trump.
So we have seen a lot of report. We have seen a lot of report there from how those policies like recognizing same-sex. Not, he said he want only same different sexes, that recognizing only two immutable sexes, male and female. So he has caused a lot of stir on the LGBT community, right? That he doesn't recognize same-sex marriages. Okay, and that is very important. And remember the pardoning of 1,500 people who were convicted of criminally charged in the attack on the U.S. Congress. Remember, he wanted to pardon them. Establishing the President's Department of Government Efficiency is a very important thing that that department that is going to head by Elon Musk. Elon Musk, remember, Elon Musk is originally from South Africa. So that's a good thing to see African people from African origin are heading departments in the U.S. Department of Government Efficiency. This is a new department, okay? New department that's going to be head. This is the first African person to head that department, Elon Musk, okay? The pulling out of the U.S. from the WHO is also something of very significant to Africa, okay? And we are trying to see even immigration policy of protecting the American from against invasion. A lot of Africans come here as refugees, come here as to seek asylum and all that. So it's going to affect a lot of Africans also from that, especially when they come here. Then the asylum cases will be rejected. Many asylum cases will be rejected due to that policy. They will be very strict, okay? A lot of that is the policy that we see out of Trump administration. Thank you, and make sure you share and share and share and share, okay? Make sure you share and share.